Good afternoon, or if you're in the Western time zones, good morning, and a very warm welcome to this webinar. My name is Deepak Gianchandani, and I am a document management specialist for UNICOM. I would also like to introduce you to my colleague, Glenn Havelock, who is also a document management specialist. We both also handle some of the support incidences for our USA customers, so you may have seen us on, if you're already a customer of ours, on some of the products. Just so you know, we are recording this webinar for replay and for those who ran into last-minute conflicts. For those of you that are new to Unicom's Macro 4 division, we have been around since 1968 and are part of the Unicom global group of companies. The Macro 4 division provides document management solutions, of which legacy application decommissioning is one of the solutions. We also provide mainframe and mid-range management solutions. Before we move on, a little house rules. We have muted the lines, but if you do have any questions, please use the chat box. This is the speech bubble icon within the on-screen menu at the bottom of the screen, the third icon from the right. Also, please post your questions to all panelists from the pull-down option so both of us can view it. Glenn will assist and endeavor to answer the questions while I'm presenting. And then we will also have a normal Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Also, you should be able to hear me over the computer speakers, but if you're not, please feel to dial into the conference bridge audio. That information was in the pop-up when you joined, or that dial-in information can be reshared if you select Communicate/Audio Conference from top menu of your WebEx session. So this is the first in a series of 3 webinars discussing how to effectively deal with data held in legacy application. The main problem of managing data in legacy application is that you need to keep the data in case it's needed in the future. But that means keeping the old legacy application alive, or does it? Today, we're going to look at the issue of compliance and the business risk associated with having data stored in legacy systems. In the next webinar, we will be covering data security. And in the third, increasing business efficiently and saving money in the third and final webinar, with the dates being showed up there. So the focus of this webinar is maybe you're implementing a completely new application, but you need to keep the old legacy application alive in case the underlying data is needed in the future. One can class legacy applications as those which are no longer updated, so the data is static, but may still be needed for compliance, operational, legal, or customer service reasons. This quote from Gartner is very interesting and shows one of the issues with holding on to static legacy applications is that you will need to spend more on modernizing the legacy application than you will on a new technology. If these are static applications, is that a good way to spend your money? There are many things to consider when thinking about compliance and business risks associated with managing data properly, particularly if the data is held in legacy applications. You may be thinking about some of these things in your business with your team members. We cannot enforce our data retention policies. For example, there's no way to automate the regular and/or ad hoc destruction of data in order to meet legal obligations. We need to bring all historical information together in one place so we can manage it better. I don't know that we can fix this app if it goes wrong. Have the people who wrote the application left the company? We're reliant on scarce legacy IT skills. The hardware and software obsolescence. What if it doesn't work on the next release of the operating system? Firefighting. Older apps are a distraction from innovation moving forward. There are support issues, requests for data, etc. This is a clear business risk. So in summary, there are many reasons to get rid of these problem legacy applications while providing business continuity by maintaining access to the data, and that's where we come in. As mentioned in the previous item around regulatory compliance, if you have applications that don't allow for the granular management and control of the data within them, your business could be at risk. The GDPR and possibly the California Consumer Privacy Act, the CCPA, has now made it a requirement for those that these features, that security be a part of the new processes that they support. So let's talk about the IT landscape. You may have IT applications about which you know very little. You need to ensure these apps meet current regulatory requirements around data privacy. Older applications may not even support modern security standards. For example, users' credentials could be stored in clear text. Business critical data in an application no longer fit for purpose. There are a host of requirements around data privacy and management, and it's critical that your applications are up to the challenge. You may need to provide role-based access within the legacy application. Can you do that now? What if you have data held in applications that may not meet current regulatory requirements? Regulations such as the GDPR or the CCPA enforce the data privacy control and management are a requirement. Your staff, customers, and business contacts need to know the data you hold about them is secure and the access level to their data is tightly controlled. A legacy app may one day just stop working altogether and you lose access to that valuable data. Can your business afford to take that risk? Safeguarding your data while keeping it easily accessible will support your regulatory obligations and help maintain business continuity. I'd now like to share with you how we help the National Grid, which is a European corporation. National Grid had 12 regional mainframes which stored MIME data in different formats. The information enabled National Grid to know where pipes had been laid, what types they were, and when they were last maintained. This was important when the area containing the pipes needed to be worked on, for example, a new housing development. The Macro 4 solution enabled National Grid to find a rapid solution to their legacy data challenge, giving fast access to the pipeline work and work history, as we mentioned earlier. This avoided the high cost and lengthy timescales of migrating large volumes of old data to new systems. At the same time, fully complied with industry regulations around data retentions and the quality standards monitored by the industry regulator, in this case, the Office of Gas Electric Markets, Ofgem for short. As the customer said, after the project was delivered, the information was originally stored in very different formats on 12 separately run mainframes. We wanted to avoid the resource and technical burdens of complex data migration. We looked at the various alternatives, but Columbus solution was the most cost-effective and gives us virtually instant on-screen access. Of course, applications do not need to be on a mainframe to be considered for decommissioning. We decommission applications from any platform. The most important point is around the business and the regulatory access to the data application uses. So how do you tackle the challenges? We want to first start by identifying those apps that are no longer getting updated and live data and could put your business at risk. The easiest ones to identify and start with could be duplicate applications, for example, multiple instances of the same applications from organic growth, overlapping applications, different applications that handle the same business functions, maybe for mergers and acquisitions, or non-essential applications. Consider the data. Decide whether the data should be migrated deleted or archived. If you only need to keep the data for the next 12 months, it may not be worth decommissioning this application. Determine how the data is being used elsewhere in the business and if the data needs to be accessed by other apps within your organization. Make the business case to move your data to a secure application or repository where you can impose the necessary access levels. Business users can easily access the data they need and in the format that makes most sense for them. You can ensure your data will conform to all regulatory compliance requirements. You're no longer reliant on scarce IT skills to support and maintain the old application, hardware or software. And you know that the current application costs are for maintaining it, for infrastructure, staffing, etc. So how can we help? We can help through the use of our Columbus solutions. Macro 4's legacy application decommissioning solution is based upon Columbus, which is a modern solution with a success pedigree and is here for the long term. Its ongoing development roadmap makes it a safe choice for today and into the future. Once you have moved your data into Columbus, you won't need to move it again. Our solution, which includes processes we have developed over a number of years, moves the data from multiple applications into a single secure repository. Columbus keeps your data accessible to support business processes, allowing necessary security levels to be met, thereby helping you meet data compliance and reduce business risks. All in all, this enables you to retire your legacy applications. Does anyone have any questions? If so, please remember to use the chat Q&A icon that I mentioned at the start of the presentation, and please make sure to post it to all the panelists. I don't see, Glenn, any questions in chat.
We do actually have one from Emily Deepak, and she's asking, or she mentions that we talked about decommissioning an application from any platform, and could you expand on that? For example, what about an AIX system that they wrote internally? So that's from Emily.
Okay. And Emily, thank you for asking. The simple answer to that question is yes. While we may not know the application or database layout, we know the platform and the database technology, so we can work with that. As we mentioned earlier, we have done a number of this transformations and application decommissioning, and we can deal absolutely with custom home-built applications. Anything else, Clint?
Not at this time, Deepak.
Okay, if anybody does have questions, please feel free to use the chat, and if we, I'll come back and ask before I end the presentation. So in summary, identify the applications that may put your business at risk, consider how the business uses the data, make the business case to move your data to a secure solution. Finally, watch out for information about our next 2 webinars in this series, Data Security, in 3 weeks on August 4th, and Increasing Business Efficiency on August 25th. We will send you a link to register for these as well. Again, the webinars are roughly 3 weeks apart, but the announcements go out roughly in 2 weeks ahead of the webinar. Side note, these webinars are run twice to meet the various customer time zones, first from the European team that held them in the very early morning for the USA. That's why we're having these again for our USA customers. If you do have other team members where the European time zone may be easier for them to attend, feel free to send us an email and or send us a note, and then we can forward off those links and invites as well. Thank you for attending. If you'd like to find out more, please email russguzzo@unicomglobal.com. Glenn, I don't see anything else, maybe in Q&A. Do you see anything else from the attendees?
Yeah, we had received a question from Luke, and he asks, what is it that Unicom Systems / Macro 4 offers? Is it just the software? So that question's from Luke.
Okay. So in addition to, we do absolutely have products, but we also have professional services that we will engage with your team on, and then work with you in reference to getting a custom fit solution to you. So it is a product, and then there's also professional services that we can engage depending on what kind of help you need from us. Hopefully that addresses Luke's question.
Apparently it does.
Okay, thank you everybody for attending.